I'm Shannon O'Shea, and thank you for tuning in to NBC3 tonight. Our first story is the result of the ongoing disputes between Brandenburg versus the state of Ohio. This case deals with Clarence Brandenburg's freedom of speech rights when he allowed a reporter to videotape a KKK rally. This case has been in the news for the past several months, but the U.S. Supreme Court has finally come to a decision. We now turn to reporter Irene Keon, who has more information on the case.
Thank you, Shannon. The U.S. Supreme Court has released their verdict of the case. They voted 8-0 in support of Brandenburg. This is said to be a landmark decision. We have both Clarence Brandenburg and a representative from the state of Ohio with us today. Hello, Ms. Brandenburg, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Sure.
Now, first, we all know you must be excited by the Supreme Court decision. Can you tell us about why they made the right choice?
Well, I knew I wasn't at fault for anything. I'm a Ku Klux Klan leader here in Ohio, but that shouldn't be held against me. I'm just expressing my opinions, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Can you explain exactly what happened?
I contacted a reporter at a Cincinnati television station and invited him to come and cover one of my KKK rallies back in 1964. He filmed portions of the rally, and it showed several of my men in their robes, some carrying firearms. Yeah, we burned a cross, and we also made a couple of speeches regarding revenge against certain groups of people.
And also, the state of Ohio claims that one of your speeches said that, quote, our president, our Congress, our Supreme Court continues to spread the white Caucasian race, end quote, and that you announced plans for a march on Washington to take place on the 4th of July, true?
Yes.
Well, thank you for your time with us today.
Now, the Supreme Court held that the original Ohio law violated his right to free speech. The Supreme Court used a two-pronged test to evaluate speech acts, with the first prong being that speech can be prohibited if it is directed at inciting or producing imminent lawless action, and the second being if it is likely to incite or produce such action. The Criminal Syndicalism Act made it illegal to advocate and teach doctrines while ignoring whether or not that advocacy and teaching would actually incite imminent lawless action. The failure to make this distinction made the law overly broad and in violation of the Constitution. Irene also interviewed a representative from Ohio, and this is what she had to say.
I have Ms. Sally Raymer, a representative from Ohio, to talk to us about results of the case. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Raymer.
Thank you for having me.
I have a couple questions for you. First, what do you think about the Supreme Court's decision?
Well, the Supreme Court has looked at everything, including past laws, cases, and at arguments from both parties. The state of Ohio respects their decision, but we do feel we had valid points.
Indeed, both sides did. Can you tell us about how the case worked its way through the lower courts?
Yes, well, originally he was charged with advocating violence under our state's criminal syndicalism statute because of advocating the duty, necessity, or propriety of crime, sabotage, violence, or unlawful methods of terrorism as a means of accomplishing industrial or political reform, and voluntarily assembling with any society, group, or assemblage of persons formed to teach or advocate the doctrines of criminal syndicalism. When he was convicted in the Court of Common Pleas of Hamilton County, he was fined $1,000 and sentenced to 1 to 10 years in prison. However, on appeal, the Ohio First District Court of Appeal affirmed his conviction, rejecting his claim that the statute violated his First Amendment and 14th Amendment right to freedom of speech. The Supreme Court of Ohio dismissed his appeal.
Now we talked to Clarence Brandenburg a little about what the Supreme Court said. Can you offer us any further information about what the Supreme Court stated?
Well, the Supreme Court held that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is directed to inciting and is likely to incite imminent lawless action. they created the Brandenburg test, which better determines when speech is going to cause illegal action.
Thank you very much for your time today. I'm Irene Kim from MBC3. Now back to you, Shannon.
Thank you, Irene. Now to summarize everything we have heard today, and just to add a little more, the Supreme Court has replaced the former, rather vague, clear and present danger standard with the new Brandenburg test. This will determine when speech is sufficiently likely to prompt illegal action that is no longer warrants First Amendment protection. This new test, which allows punishment of advocacy of illegal action, if the speech is directed towards inciting, has immediate violence or illegal action, and is likely to produce that action. Our station will bring you more information as it comes, so make sure you keep it here. For NBC3, I'm Shannon O'Shea.